They're the Titans, the Mount Rushmore of players we all know the names of. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers. Then there are the Giants hoping to join this group. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Nonetheless, you can't forget about these new guys hoping to dethrone everything those that came before them created and blaze their own trail into NFL history. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Mac Jones. Men that won't let you forget who they are. And if you do, they'll be more than happy to remind you. This is the show where we'll talk about all those legacies and so much more. We'll follow these storylines from the beginning of the season all the way to the climax of the Super Bowl. We'll see giants fall and watch new men who you never expected to take over stand tall. Through adversity and victory, the NFL has it all, and we'll cover every minute of it here. No buts about it.
And welcome back to another episode of No Buts About It. It is February 6th, 2023. And that is Chus. He is in his basement in Pittsburgh. He has made his presence known through a cough, as always, or as usual. I am in my dorm in Steubenville, Ohio, where I go to school now. Chus used to go to school here, and then he abandoned us.
No, I just found a better opportunity somewhere else financially. So
I've noticed that you're now wearing all Pittsburgh Panthers stuff, almost as if to make a statement after yesterday's episode.
I guess I didn't think about that when I woke up this morning. Originally I was gonna wear a Jack Harlow hoodie, but then I realized that Jack Harlow did not win any of the Grammys last night, so I was very upset. So I figured instead of that, I would just find another random hoodie in my drawer, and I wasn't going to wear a Chargers hoodie when it's Super Bowl week and it's Chiefs and Eagles. I just felt like that wouldn't make any sense. Usually when a team gets eliminated for any sport, if I have their thing, minus baseball, because it's only football and hockey that I really have a lot of shirts and stuff for. Once they get eliminated from playoffs or playoff contention or whatever, I stop wearing their stuff until after the season ends. So, like, I haven't worn any Steelers stuff since January 8th, 9th. I just haven't. Just because it's just like it was a high school thing. I used to get, like, when I would wear, like, a Penguins jersey after they got eliminated in the first round, or I wore a Steelers jersey after they lost in the wild card. People would be like, why are you wearing a Steelers hoodie? They lost. I'm like, because it's a Steelers hoodie. We live in Pittsburgh. So I just kind of naturally just happened. But as for Pitt, I just kind of threw this on today. Always repping Pitt. Pitt has a big game tomorrow against Louisville at home. So it's going to be a big one for them. But this is not a basketball cast. This is a football NFL podcast. So we're not here to talk Pitt basketball, unless you wanted to.
I don't.
Okay, well, that's – I mean, I talked briefly about it yesterday. Pitt is still better than West Virginia.
You also talked about gymnastics briefly yesterday.
Briefly, I don't know much about gymnastics. I mean, it just kind of came up in the conversation because they mentioned it because I follow Pitt Athletics on Instagram. The school that I go to now does not have, like, D1 level things. So, like, we don't have a football team and stuff. So it's very minimal. It's kind of like the old school I went to. It's D3. So,
well, yeah, I'm sorry you feel that you need to embrace the Pitt culture. Maybe you'll grow out of it.
Hail to Pitt.
Okay.
Hail to Pitt.
Well,
I mean, I go to Pitt. I go to Oakland every weekend. So, like, I'm already living a University of Pittsburgh dream without going to classes. So,
whatever. You mentioned the Grammys. All award shows are shams, in my opinion, except for the one that gives us an award. So if an award show wants to win me over, give me something. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, most of the time I feel like it's just industry people, though, like just celebrating each other while we watch for some reason.
I mean, I am kind of pleased that Beyonce did not win Album of the Year. I was really afraid she was going to, but she also had won already 4 Grammys without Album of the Year. So
I was never on the Beyonce train.
Maybe I never was either, but watching the Grammys last night was it's always interesting in a way to hear about it because I never watched it fully. So like the recaps are always interesting to hear about. But I mean, it's not, in my opinion, like it was like it's a neat show in a way, but like this year wasn't as interesting because none of my favorites were like anywhere even close to any of them, and plus any of the other artists that I wanted to win didn't win in the other ones. So like watching like, oh yeah, artist of the year, or the whatever, like album of the year go to Harry Styles. I'm like, good for Harry. He As It wasn't bad, but like it's like one of those things where it's like I don't really care. It was a lot different back in the day.
I feel like it's become like a competition for weirdest red carpet look.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, it's definitely. I don't know. I just feel like times are changing though, because like NFL players also wear a lot of interesting suits.
Yeah,
sometimes where you're like they'll wear like polka dotted suits, and you're like.
But there was just even the country singers. Like I don't want to call anyone out because I don't want to make any enemies, but yeah, even some of the looks that the country singers had, I was like, why? Like, what are you wearing, or lack thereof wearing? I guess. But. It's not a Grammy Award show, not a basketball show. It is a NFL football podcast. And breaking news, Adriel Jeremiah Green has retired from the NFL. And he was a top receiver in the league for a long time. He was Cincinnati Bengal from 2011 to 2020, and he then went over to Arizona, and nothing really happened over there. So he was never able to get himself a Super Bowl ring, but he was definitely fun to watch play. He had multiple 1,000-yard seasons. I was kind of surprised. He only ever had his highest 2 touchdown seasons were both 11 touchdowns, and they were in 2012 and 2013. I thought he would have had more touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird because like with like wide receivers, it just kind of it varies more or less, no matter like where you're at. So like, I mean, he could have like 20 touchdown seasons and then still have 11 and 8 or more or whatever. It just really depends. I mean, AJ Green, the one thing about him was he was always like a sneak player in fantasy football. I will say that. A lot of people like would draft him really late, and he would end up being like the big money maker every single week because like everyone's like, oh, AJ Green's only projected 8 points this week. And that was the one thing I noticed with my fantasy football team this year. I ended up losing in the second round, but what I ended up banking on a lot was like bad projections by the fantasy football ESPN app, where they would be like, oh yeah, Darius Slayton is projected 8.6 this week. And so like I would be projected 108 points or something, and I'd have Darius Slayton start. And then he'd get me 15 points. Yet the other guy would start like another like regular wide receiver, like, and this is nothing to do with you. Do not take offense to this, but like I remember the one week he started T. Higgins, and T. Higgins got like 8 points. And I'm like, bro, my T. Higgins was projected 13 points this week. Darius Slayton was projected 8, and Darius Slayton just got 15, and Higgins got 8. Yeah, so it's just like,
how many Giants wide receivers can you name that were still playing by that point? That aren't Darius
how many
Slayton?
That aren't Darius Slayton?
Yeah.
I can't name them right now because I don't have them on my fantasy team anymore, because I had him, and then I had another Giants wide receiver, but I never started him. His name's, it started with an I. I can't even think
Isaiah
of it right
Hodgins.
Yeah, that was him, but I didn't start him because I was banking on Darius Slayton. And Darius Slayton kind of folded towards the end, but he's what it is.
I liked watching AJ Green. I've got a photo of him actually in my bedroom back home, where he's like.
I thought you just had a photo of him on your phone. I'm like, was he taking a pee or something?
Oh yeah, I just carry around a photo of AJ Green with me everywhere I go. No, he is like, I think it's actually a Steelers player, but everything around him's black and white. And then he's like mossing the Steelers player, and he's the only one in color. It might not be the Steelers, but in my head for right now it is. So,
I mean, if you'll have to go home and check, and you're not going to be home for another month? Are you going home for spring break?
I'm going home in early March to see Cody Johnson in concert.
That's cool. So
someone who did win a Grammy.
Is that a spring break though? Is that spring break for you, or are you just going home?
It's just I wanted to see him, and his concert in Youngstown sold out in like 5 minutes. So I'm going back home to see him.
Interesting. So, and then are you staying there for spring break, or are you?
No, I'll probably come back and then go home for spring break.
Dang, dude, you're going crazy.
March is gonna be wild. No, but like as a Steelers fan, what are your memories of AJ Green? Because like obviously as a Bengals fan, AJ Green was like the best thing since sliced bread, and in the moment it felt like he was our Megatron, this guy who was super good and was definitely going to be a Hall of Famer and just couldn't get a ring. But now I'm looking at his stats and like AJ might get in the Hall of Fame, but he won't be a first balloter, and he's not Megatron level, if I'm being honest. But I still still love the memories, still love AJ. But like as a Steelers fan, is there anything you remember from his career?
Like I couldn't necessarily like pinpoint one exact memory because there's just a lot. We obviously play the Bengals twice a year, sometimes, occasionally in playoffs and whatnot. We see them a lot, obviously, just the AFC North division rivalry. But the one thing that I knew about AJ Green, I was about to say AJ Brown. I'm sorry. AJ Green. The one thing about, listen, it has nothing to do with me being an idiot, because I think a lot of people think I'm stupid, but I'm not. I just say the wrong things sometimes. It happens. You've said it plenty of times where you've messed up.
That's true. Yesterday I said Ross Chastain wasn't racing in the NASCAR Clash race, and he was. So that I was wrong. He got 8th, I think. Definitely in the top 10. I think he got 8th. So I was wrong about that. But that was NASCAR related.
Yeah, but fair is fair. I mean, it's not like I was like, oh yeah, and then like I messed up names. It wasn't like I was like, oh yeah, AJ Green never played for the Bengals. Like it was just, like I know but like I just accidentally almost said AJ Brown because I'm still thinking about the Eagles Chiefs this week. On top of that, Antonio and AJ Brown just screwed with my head. But I mean, it was always kind of fun to watch. I mean, obviously, like during some of the bigger eras in his life, like for the Bengals and stuff, because he played from 2011 to 2020 with the Bengals. You said.
Yep.
Okay, so 2011, there was a lot of years, like the first couple of years where like the Bengals were kind of like mediocre and stuff like that. But when I was younger, I didn't really know him a whole lot, but I know that like he was one of those players that was like the Bengals had something with him, like before obviously they have like this crazy 3 wide receiver core they have now. But the one thing with AJ Green was that like it almost kind of, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe you could even vouch for this, but like with having like, inconsistencies in like the season and stuff like that, AJ Green almost brought like a new light to the Bengals. And it kind of gave the Bengals a little bit of hope for the future. And he ended up being a big key, I feel like, for your wild card appearance back in 2015, 2016 ish. Unfortunately with the loss of the Steelers, putting that aside, it still brought you guys a playoff appearance, with the team that you had formed with AJ Green as well. And I really don't have a specific memory. I know that he always, was tough to cover and whatnot, but he was always very consistent. And even when he was in Arizona, he was relatively consistent. Once again, another fantasy football mention. I would put him in projected 8 points, and he would get like 15 points a game. Another one that was just always like somehow would get 2 receptions for 40 yards and a touchdown. And you're like, I'll take it. And like, it like never a lot, but just enough to get you like over the edge. And that's what it comes with fantasy. So like he was a solid wide receiver towards the end. He was just kind of like there for help. Not for Cincinnati, obviously. It would have been interesting to see if he would have stuck around in Cincinnati. I don't know how it would have played out differently, because obviously you guys have 3 really solid wide receivers right now with Jamar and T and Tyler Boyd. So I don't really know how it would have played out, because he probably would have been a wide receiver 4, but wasn't he a wide receiver 4 in Arizona anyway, technically? Much, or was he? Yeah. So like, I mean, he really didn't get much of a chance after leaving Cincinnati, but during his prime and stuff like that, he was a pretty good wide receiver. Unfortunately, because based on his stats and stuff, he probably, like you said, won't be first ballot. more than likely it's going to take him a little while to get in because another wide receiver. If he gets in at all. I mean, Hines Ward for the Steelers has been like nominated 6 different times over the last couple of years, and he has not made it in at all yet. And like, sometimes it takes you instantly, like, Tom Brady and JJ Watt are gonna make it in like instantaneously when like in 2027 and like 2028, and then Ben Roethlisberger is gonna make it in 2027. Like a lot of these are like with AJ Green, you don't know in 2028 if he's gonna make it. It might be 2032. Or maybe down the line in 2050. Like, it kind of sucks, but like you might be waiting a while. But there is a chance that he could make it because he was monumental for the Bengals at a point in time when it felt like the Bengals didn't have a lot of hope. But then the hope came, and then by the end of the decade, you guys are now going into this decade as a very good team. So yeah, let me flatter your ego a little bit for the Bengals.
Yes, so. Let me flex on myself. No, I do agree. Like, he was fun to watch. Like, let's see, 2011. I would have been like 10 years old. So
I was like 9. So.
It's kind of weird. Like Arizona. He played there for 2 seasons, and he had barely 1,000 yards. He had 1,084 yards.
He also was hurt a little bit too.
Yeah,
so
but
don't forget that.
I know he started in 6 or 9 games he started in of the 16 that he played in, and 10 this season of the 15 that he played in. But I don't know. He was like a guy who at recess people like pretended to be, at least at my school. Which was weird because the Bengals weren't really relevant to Northern Indiana. But, like, he was like our people would be like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Drew Brees. Then they'd be throwing to, quote-unquote, Reggie Wayne, A.J. Green, Gronk. That, like, just random people at recess we were pretending we were. And it was like, fun. And it's kind of bittersweet to see these guys kind of start to retire because that was – our childhood.
That's like your childhood, yeah. Because it's like the same thing with like you're seeing all these posts now where it's like, like we're in a generation where it's like our childhood is gone, and like it's like posts of like all the like prime 8 quarterbacks that played in our like in our childhood, like Drew Brees and Tom Brady and Phillip Rivers and Ben Roethlisberger and Eli and so on and so forth. And it to a point it does get really sad because you're like, yeah, when I was at recess, like I would pretend I was, Drew Brees or, because he was in the Super Bowl back in, 2009 or whatever. And then you're just like, yes, let's go. Like it kind of is sad, but it definitely, over time, like when, like the kids of us now, they're going to be saying that they're Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and stuff like that. And when that generation goes on, that's going to be even worse because then I'm going to feel so old when like your Josh Allen's, your Patrick Mahomes, and like those guys retire. I feel like I'm going to be like, bruh, like at that point I'll be in like my 30s or something like that. And I'll be like, dang, like now we've got Joey Deer Park going in at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I don't know. I just made that up off the top of my head. I don't know any of these quarterbacks. Joey Deer Park, based off of my water bottle.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say I've never heard that name, but okay.
No, I just made that up off the top of my head. I was gonna say Joe Schmo, but I feel like Joe Schmo is so obviously like a cliche thing. But yeah, I mean, like by the time that comes in, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, and then next thing you know, your kids are gonna be pretending that they're Joey Deer Park and Murray Evansons. So
Joey Deer, they're 1 and 2 draft picks from the 2032 draft.
Yeah.
It is interesting though because this is really the first time our generation has had to go through this. Where everyone we watched growing up is changing, is leaving the league, and now everyone that's playing in the NFL is our age, which is even weirder.
Because like some of these quarterbacks coming out are only like a year older than us, year or two, or
some of them are
your
younger
age.
Some of them are younger. than me.
Some of them. Yeah, I mean,
Like,
right now, none of them are younger than me. I know, like, with hockey and stuff, like, some of them are, like, 3 years younger than me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, they're 17 and 18, and I'm like, boy, are you kidding me? I'm like, this is just so weird. But, like,
yeah.
but then you get to a point, like, in the NFL, like, probably in the next year or two, I'm going to start feeling that those old effects. Because, like, you know, Kenny Pickett's, like, I think, like, 24. You know, a lot of the quarterbacks that I know and stuff are within, like, the mid-20s.
It's a weird...
But like some of these wide receivers coming in are 22 and stuff, and you're like, dang, I'm about to turn 21 at the end of the summer, or beginning of the summer actually. But still,
it's weird. Like, one of the guy who opened for Charles Wesley Godwin was younger than me. Did not look younger than me at all. And it was so weird when my friend was like, yeah, he just turned 21. I was like, wow. And then you look at the NFL. Trey Lance, I'm pretty sure, is like a month younger than me.
Yeah, let me
look up Trey Lance's birthday. I'm pretty sure he's born in March.
May
01.
May 9th, 2000.
Okay.
So
he's older than me.
He's a little older than he
there's
about a year.
Someone from about a year. Someone who was in that draft was younger than me, and I was shocked by a month. But I can't remember the name. I thought it was
youngest QB in the NFL. 2020.
It might not have been a QB. I think it was a QB, but maybe it wasn't.
I don't think it was a QB. It looks like no, it couldn't have been a QB because the youngest is Trey Lance.
Okay. Well,
so youngest player in the NFL. Let's see, because
we're gonna do some research here. No buts about it, nation. Who is the youngest player in the NFL?
Ranking the youngest. There's a Colt that is.
There's a Colt?
Yeah.
Like an Indianapolis Colt or a CUL?
On Saturday. Colt? No, like an Indianapolis Colt.
Okay.
On Saturday, this was a September article from the Indy Star.
Okay.
Published on September 9th. On Saturday, Nick Cross will celebrate his 21st birthday. On Sunday, he could make his first NFL start against the Texans. I don't know if that ended up happening or not, but he is the youngest player in the NFL, the only one of 1,696 who is not yet of legal drinking age. He was born on September 10th, 2001, one day before 9/11.
I am older than him. I am 9 months older than him. Take that, Nicholas Cross.
Nick Cross is, he still plays for the Colts, so he is still on the roster. He is 21. Who's
the oldest in the NFL now? It's got to be a kicker.
Who is the oldest?
It was Brady for a while
player in the NFL.
But Brady just retired. So if it says Brady, that's not right.
Ranking the oldest. Tom Brady is there. Andy Lee for the Cardinals is 40.
Is he a kicker?
Andy Lee is not a kicker, I don't believe. He's a punter.
Oh.
Yes, so you had the right idea, but then you have Robbie Gould, who's a kicker, Aaron Rodgers, Mercedes Lewis, Clark Harris, Mason Crosby, Nick Folk.
Dude, I love Clark Harris. He's a Bengal.
Yeah. And then Mason Crosby for the Packers. Then Nick Folk for the Patriots, Joe Flacco for the Ravens, and Matt Ryan for the Colts. You know, the Packers have 3 of the oldest players on the list. Like 3, like on the top 10, they have 3 of them.
Well,
like Aaron Rodgers, Mercedes Lewis, and Mason Crosby. That's crazy to think about. Like they have 2 37-plus-year-old guys on the team.
Aaron Rodgers ain't going to be sticking around too long because I got some people out in Vegas who are saying different. They're saying he's coming over here.
We'll see. I mean, it'll be very interesting to see this offseason. I mean, when does the offseason start? Like, it starts, March? I don't know the exact date when free agency starts. NFL free agency, it's always different every year, usually, sometimes.
Well, I mean...
March 15th. So it's always around the same time every year.
I brought up Tom Brady, but so he's going to be a broadcaster in the Fox booth. For 10 years, I believe his contract says. He signed that the first time he retired. Then he came out of retirement, and they just were like, whenever you retire, come back to us. And so
come back to us.
Do you think he's going to be a broadcaster or a good broadcaster? Because I mean, people have been saying like they don't like Tony Romo for some, which I thought everyone liked Tony Romo. I like Tony Romo usually, but now everyone's like mad at Tony Romo, and they're like Tony Romo sucks. All he does is whine in the booth and goes rah, rah, rah. And apparently CBS is like intervening with his broadcasting style. I like Tony Romo. I think he's one of the better broadcasters, in my opinion.
I was gonna say I don't mind Tony Romo. I know during some of the games that I had watched with him, he whines in the booth, but when he whines, it's like that is clearly like a face mask. That like why didn't they call that? And like you can see on the replay that it was a face mask or something like that. And like I don't necessarily. I think he's like calling things that the referees aren't seeing. And granted, he's up in the booth, but like obviously you're like holy crap, like he's complaining about something, and then you get the fans that are at home riled up because Tony Romo just said, oh shoot, like this was a missed call on this team, and then whoever it was, vice versa, teams get mad. So, or the fans get mad because they're like, what the heck, that wasn't a call or whatever. But I don't think he's a bad. I mean, I definitely have heard way worse announcers. Is Tom Brady going to be like an announcer, or is he going to be like an analyst?
I assume he'll be like a color commentator, like Romo.
Okay, because like Gronk is like a analyst type thing. Right, because he doesn't do like he doesn't like.
I don't know what Gronk does. Gronk just kind of shows up randomly and just like nods and agrees.
Yeah, I think Gronk is a buffoon on the analyst show. I mean, I feel like he'll just be like, yeah.
He doesn't look comfortable. It's not what he wants to be. They need to let him be himself, and they're not doing that.
They're not letting him do that. So he kind of looks like a buffoon in that case. I mean, he's a funny guy, and like, don't get me wrong, like I feel like he would do wonders like not in the booth or like in the analyst table or whatever. But like I wish better for him. And
I think
it's just really weird because some of these players are just in there and are like former players, whether they're super old or super like young right out of retirement. It's kind of weird seeing them in there. Just like, Greg Olsen appears, and it's some of these players, like I'm like, it's just kind of weird that they throw them in there and they're not throwing like actual announcers in there, because some of these players eat, sleep, and breathe football. I get that they know things, but like they don't have the voice, and I think that might be an issue.
I think Greg Olsen does a good job. I think Tony Romo does a good job. I think Gronk could be really good at it if he were able to just be Gronk. Like if he were able to be himself and didn't have to like be in a suit and be all proper and like, say things a certain way. But
isn't he kicking a field goal at the Super Bowl?
Yes. The kick of destiny. If he makes it, I think they're like handing out $1 million in FanDuel credits or something.
Yeah.
So I hope he makes it. I'm entered. I'm rooting for you, Gronk. Please make it. But no, like, what do you think? Do you think Tom Brady is going to do you think he'll be good at it, or do you think he'll be?
I don't think he will be. I think he would be better on like the analyst table, if anything. I don't think if they put him in the commentary booth, like for a game or like color commentary or whatever, I don't think he's going to be that good, because he doesn't have like a enthusiastic voice. It's kind of good because he kind of seems humble in some ways, but like during interviews and stuff, it's not like he has like a over the top booming like commentating type personality. I mean, people will just listen because it's Tom Brady, obviously, because he's the GOAT, but like I feel like in some aspects, and I've complained about this before with just everything, like from sports entertainment to actual sports. Like Pat McAfee, for example, has added a new light to WWE when it comes to announcing. Like he is actually so funny with announcing.
He announced the Pro Bowl. I didn't know that. Yeah. I would have watched if.
Did he really? Yeah. I didn't know that either.
I would have watched just for his commentary.
Yeah, but like his commentary is so good and so like energetic and so fun to listen to that it gives like a refresh of the product. And like granted, like some of the announcers on the show were good. But like sometimes you can't hire within because like sometimes it just doesn't work. The NHL, for example, they don't hire necessarily within, but the one player that like the one guy that Doc Emmerich just retired, miss Doc so much. I believe it was Doc Emmerich, right? I don't want to sound like it. Yeah, it was Doc Emmerich. Okay, yeah, Doc Emmerich retired. and he was the best voice I ever heard for a hockey game, and he did NBCSN, but I mean, like, and NHL usually hires not within the organizations of players. They usually just hire actual announcers that have experience and stuff. And I think the NFL, although is doing it okay, just keeps hiring former players, and sometimes it's just like flat commentary. Like on Madden, for example, like I cannot tell you like how flat that commentary is.
The computer programmed voices aren't realistic enough.
It's not computer. Like, even if they pre-record them and stuff, like I have more enjoyable times playing NHL or any other game with commentary. Like NHL, like they'll be like, what a save. And then like on NFL, it'll be like, oh, the ball's picked. Oh, the ball's picked. He's running down the sideline. The 40, the 20, the 10. Touchdown Eagles. And you're like, wow, that was thrilling. But then on NHL, it's like, what a save. And like, it's really enjoyable.
There's actually a pretty good impression of the NFL commentator on Madden. But
yeah, I don't like, and it kind of sounds like that in the real time. Cause like, I can't remember a time where like the announcing has made me like even more energetic to watch the game in the NFL. Like usually I have it like turned down because the announcers just are not good. Or I mean, like, it's not that they're not good, it's just that it's not adding anything extra to it. Like when I used to watch hockey games, Doc Emmerich would make the game. Like it just made it that much more special for me. And I think that might be what they're missing. And I'm not comparing hockey and football as a sport. I'm comparing their commentators. I don't want people to get it twisted. But Doc Emmerich, if you're a hockey fan and you've never heard Doc Emmerich announce, listen to Doc Emmerich's best moments. Like oh my gosh, they are. Ugh.
I think you can hire from within or like ex-players because NASCAR, pretty much everyone who announces for NASCAR is an ex-driver, ex-crew chief, or they've been in the sport forever. And all those guys do a really good job. Like even they had Jimmy Johnson as a guest in the booth last night, and it was really funny because he's also one of the owners of two of the cars. And he's going to be racing at some of the races this year. But one of his cars wrecked while he was in the booth. And he was like, oh, no, that's one of my cars. And it was like an authentic, like, oh, darn. And
yeah,
I think
but like,
but
that's like fun though. Yeah.
Yeah. If you get that, the reason I like Tony Romo is because he's like a fan watching the game. And I'm afraid Brady's just going to be like, well, if I was down there, or if I were playing, he's going to miss it so much because it's been a part of his life for so long.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know if he's going to be that. Like the problem is like, yes, you want to hire like people that are going to draw you to like watch the like Fox and CBS and blah, 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 blah. You want to hire these people. But in the end, also, I kind of think about it and I'm like, you also want to make sure you're hiring people that are going to make the sport seem energetic when you're announcing the damn game. Like nothing against Tom Brady, but I feel like you said, he's either going to be like, oh, would I be down there? Or he'll be like, yeah, that was like, they're like, what do you think of that play? Yeah, I thought that was a really good play. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was in the pocket, he ran out and that was, a good play. And it's just like, wow, thanks. I could have said that in a essay. Like I hope that he adds more energy to it like Tony Romo does, but I think they need to like really, if they're not gonna, I think they really need to find some players that are going to be like super energetic.
Back in my day, we couldn't do that.
Back in my day.
But no, I do agree. I kind of hope Tom Brady does prove us wrong and does a lot better. Maybe he won't be in the booth. I think that's what he's going to be doing though. I'd be surprised if they had Tom Brady and they're like, you're only going to see him at the halftime show. Enjoy. But maybe they won't. But yeah, I do like the whole, like, people get mad about like Tony Romo being like, oh, well, this is crazy. This is nuts. This is going wild. Like, that's what he's supposed to be doing. Or I think that's what he's supposed to be doing. CBS apparently disagreed because they intervened and want him to change his announcing style. But that's the way it goes.
It's odd, but what can you do?
I'm pretty much done for today. Are you done for today.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to talk about. I mean, no news. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of teams that have been hiring coordinators, but I don't really feel like we need to cover any of the coordinators just because none of them are like huge. I mean, like a lot of them are like, oh, you fired and you hired a new one. I feel like a lot of the stuff we cover is head coach based.
Shocking. So, there's no teams running into the next season without a coordinator.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's wild.
Like,
it's wild news. Wild idea.
Yeah. So nothing too special happened today. New show probably Wednesday and Friday, and if not, to be determined based on our availability because of school and other things. So
this is why I do the outros.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not. I didn't know you wanted me to do the outro.
No, I'm doing the outro. I'm just saying you're kind of doing one, and you're just you sound like a Madden commentator.
Yeah. That was a good play. So catch No Buts About It next time on EA Sports. All right, go ahead, do your spiel.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and mute you now. I just forgot. You got me. He's like so happy. He's just leaving. He's like, I've ruined it successfully. Thank you for listening to today's show. Obviously not a whole lot of content, but we try to make it fun. We try to talk about stuff, and we're just two guys talking about football, talking about things that we would be talking about anyway. But we record it and we put it on the internet so that you can listen to it. And if you enjoyed that, please give us a rating, 5 stars. It helps with the algorithm and all the fancy stuff on all those websites. Subscribe, follow, share, do all the things. That also helps with the algorithm, helps us out, helps us build our platform. Go ahead and email us at bullmoosepodcast2@gmail.com. That's bullmoosepodcast2@gmail.com. The Instagram is nobuts_show. And the Twitter, which is mine, is Joshua_Butts_2001. And the YouTube is just look up No Buts About It. I'm pretty sure it should pop up. There's a picture of a football. There's no videos up yet, to my knowledge, unless Chus put them up there already, which I doubt he did.
For which one, the YouTube or the TikTok?
Both. Either one, actually.
I haven't had the chance to, but they're up. Like I said, be careful about the YouTube. Some weird stuff comes up.
Turn on your filters.
Yeah, please turn on your filters.
Because you shouldn't be looking at that stuff anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, but like once we get stuff posted, it should come up naturally.
What's the TikTok? Is the TikTok No Buts Show as well?
It's the same as the YouTube, yes.
So No Buts Show. NOBUTTSSHOW. But yeah, we will hopefully see you all on Wednesday. And with that, we're going to be out ending right at 30. Oh, I missed it. Darn. I was going to try and get 37 even. Darn.